Hello and welcome to Reality Check. I'm Xu Qinduo. One of the pressing questions at Shangri-La Dialogue has been if there will be a physical meeting between Chinese Defense Minister Li Shangfu and his US counterpart Lord Austin. Though they did shake hands and greet each other briefly at the opening dinner, Washington has pointed the finger at China for lacking the willingness to engage. This reveals some deeply rooted problems of US policy and practices. For example, shouldn't the countries conduct diplomacy based on equality and mutual respect? I'm sure few countries would say no, as this is international diplomacy 101. So how can the US expect China to agree to dialogue with the American defense chief while the US is imposing restrictive measures on Chinese individuals, including the defense minister himself? The US has made so much fuss over the episode that the Chinese defense minister felt compelled to respond. Every sovereign nation understands the importance of such a basic and fundamental principle. President Joe Biden himself addressed lifting the sanctions so the two defense ministers can meet and talk. Here's Biden being asked about this on the sidelines of the recently concluded G7 summit.
Lloyd Austin is trying to meet with him. He's currently sanctioned by the government.
No, I know that. That's under negotiation right now.
But then the US backtracked, saying there's no plan to lift sanctions. The obvious conclusion is that the US doesn't seem too motivated for a formal meeting between the two defense ministers at the Shangri-La Dialogue. And the lack of a formal communication between the two arguably most powerful militaries comes from US unwillingness to engage, not China's. If the US won't remove obstacles for better communication with China, then why the urgent messaging that the right time to talk is now? It seems almost like a pretense, if not outright hypocrisy. The lack of mutual respect and mutual equality can unfortunately be seen everywhere in US practices. For example, the vague term rules-based international order is by nature a self-serving practice with little respect for other sovereign states.
其所谓的基于规则的国际秩序，从来不讲清楚是什么规则，谁制定的规则，采取的是例外主义、双重标准，维护的是少数国家的利益，遵循的是少数国家的规则。
When it comes to the Ukraine crisis, the US stresses the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. But on the Taiwan question, it somehow never mentions Chinese territorial integrity. Its punitive economic restrictions are called sanctions, but actions by others adopt economic coercion. And when China built the Tiangong space station after NASA rejected an offer of Chinese cooperation on the International Space Station, NASA head Bill Nelson attacked China for building its own station. The list goes on and on. Such practices are so hard to justify that even Americans find them too ridiculous to accept. Mutual respect and equality are features of the Chinese initiative of global security, the focal topic of the Shangri-La Dialogue.
中方认为，彼此尊重、平等相待，才能和睦相处。坚决反对把自己的意志强加于人，把自己的利益凌驾于人，把自己的安全建立在别人不安全之上。
Contrary to the practice of US forming security camps like AUKUS and the Quad, which often divide and destabilize a region, the Chinese security concept focuses instead on inclusiveness, taking into consideration the security concerns of everyone involved. The practice of respect and equality has likely played a role in China's global diplomacy. For example, China has become a major trading partner of over 140 countries and regions. Security-wise, China's efforts are also winning international support. Following the successful mediation for the rapprochement between Saudi Arabia and Iran, China's peace proposal for the Ukraine crisis was widely lauded among the global South in particular. Maybe if the US treated others with equality and respect, global security might not be such a pressing concern, and simple open dialogue could replace pretense and false accusations.